Concussion concerns are all over the headlines these days, especially for young athletes, and fears are compounded by a growing body of research tying concussions to permanent brain issues. Dr. Bradley Hupp from Gulf Coast Medical Group is here to tell us what we need to know about concussions. Okay, exactly what is a concussion first, Dr. Hupp?
Well, you know, back in the day, we used to say you just got your bell rung.
Exactly.
And, you know, go ahead, get back into the game and keep playing. But, you know, in a pure sense, what it is that it's a traumatic injury to the brain. That's what a concussion is. Your brain gets hit and shaken to a point where it creates an injury to the brain. It's a traumatic brain injury.
What are some of the symptoms?
Well, symptoms, you know, in a football game, let's say I'm going to use that for an example. I mean, the obvious symptoms is maybe a player gets knocked out on the field. Okay, that's an easy one. But 90% of concussions, you don't get knocked out. You know, you may see a player that gets his bell rung, so to speak, and he comes off the field and he's dizzy. Maybe he has a little blurred vision. Maybe he has a little amnesia. He can't remember the events of the play. So those are the symptoms that we look for initially. Sometimes the symptoms don't occur until later. You might see the next day they might have some difficulty thinking, remembering, maybe some physical findings, headaches, emotional, maybe a little moody, maybe sleeping a little more. Those are some symptoms that we watch for.
Does the person who has the concussion always know?
No, I mean, many times you don't know. Maybe you just think, well, I've got a little bit of a headache, or maybe I'm a little sleepy, maybe I just don't feel quite right. So that's the key right there is identifying who has a concussion. We need to, as doctors, as parents, as coaches and trainers, we need to be able to identify these players to determine, did they have a concussion?
And there's a test for that.
We have a test, it's called IMPACT, and this is a test that's been around for a few years. Experts have developed this test. We give the test in my clinic in Venice, Sarasota County. The Sarasota schools use it, and it's a test that we give the players after they've had a concussion to determine, are they ready to go back to play? It really gives us some objective findings to tell us, okay, the brain is healed, it's recovered, and we can send them back to play without risk of maybe having more long-term problems.
Because there are long-term effects from the concussions, right?
Oh boy, you know, look at the NFL. I mean, they've got this big lawsuit now with the players. I mean, millions and millions of dollars because of the NFL players that have had concussions repeatedly, and now they're developing Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, Lou Gehrig's disease. So you bet there's some big long-term effects of repeated head injuries and concussions.
My husband played in college, and with the old helmets, they had that, and he had so many sleep issues. Oh. And I saw that on your list. That's one of the things that people would be seeing now.
You bet.
It's so frightening. So treatments, is there anything we can do about this?
Yeah. Well, you know, the two important things, we need to identify who has a concussion, take them out of the game. Okay, that's the first thing, and then treatment. And the treatment really is only rest. You know, if we have a broken bone, we can fix a broken bone. Now a concussion, we just have to rest the brain. You know, the brain takes time to heal. It may take a day, it may take a week, it could take a month. You know, our young athletes, we got to protect their brains, and I think the most important thing we can do, take them out of the participation, let the brain rest, give it some time, and then maybe get them back into play, you know, when it's safe.
How do you know when it's safe?
Right.
Like,
Do scans show the brain rested?
Yeah. X-rays don't show anything. You know, you can ask them, and I have athletes that come right to my office and they tell me, "Hey, doctor, I'm ready to go back. I feel fine. I feel fine." So we use this IMPACT test. It's a neurocognitive test. It's the only FDA-approved test to really evaluate athletes and people that have had concussions, to help us to determine just how the synapse is working, how is the brain working, so we can tell, okay, the brain has now healed and they're ready to return back to play. So it's a very useful test. Over 7,000 high schools use this test. Over 1,000 colleges and universities are using it. Over 200 professional teams are using this test, and we're using it right here in Sarasota County.
Great.
Our athletes have this test, and so we're keeping them safe.
Oh, that's so good to know. That's so good to know. Because football is a great game. We just need to be safe playing it. And you can get more information on concussions and any other of these injuries. You can find Dr. Hupp online at Gulf Coast Medical Group's website. Next, musicians band together to help hurricane victims.